Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. When I drove away from the dealership, I was overcome with an incredible sense of excitement. The couple who handed me the keys to their car seemed as happy as I was, but nothing could compare to the thrill I felt sitting behind the wheel of my brand new BMW. Stopping at a red light, I couldn't help but notice the goofy smile spreading across my face. I already knew exactly what I wanted to do next. As soon as the light turned green, I pressed the gas. The deep, throaty roar of the engine echoed through the air as I pushed the BMW to its limit. Grinning from ear to ear, I slowed down to a more reasonable speed. Pulling into the driveway, I deliberately didn't park in the garage. I knew I wasn't staying home for long. I had other things to do. When I entered the house, I was immediately enveloped by the rich aroma of cooking food. The smell was unmistakable. Spaghetti. I'd never been a big fan of spaghetti, but today it didn't matter. I had other plans. Breaking from my usual habit, I didn't announce my arrival. Instead, I went straight upstairs, changed into my golf attire, grabbed my clubs from the closet, and headed back toward the door. As I reached the threshold, Mary appeared from the kitchen. "Robert, where are you going? Whose car is that outside? Dinner's almost ready. And why are you dressed like that? What's with the golf clubs?" Without missing a beat, I replied, "I'm going to play golf. That car? It's mine. And I'm dressed for golf because I'm going to play." Her face showed confusion and irritation. "You didn't say anything about golf," she protested, clearly upset. "And what about dinner?" she asked, trying to remain calm. "I'll have dinner at the club," I replied nonchalantly. "Enjoy your meal." As I closed the door behind me, I heard her puzzled voice. "What do you mean, your car?" I didn't feel like explaining anything, so I left the question unanswered. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I muted it. When I arrived at the country club, I had a quiet dinner with Michael and Thomas, and then we went for 9 holes. It had been a long time since I last played, and my rusty swing was obvious. By the end of the game, I started feeling more confident, ready for the next round. We agreed to meet again Saturday morning for a full game, had a couple of beers, and then I headed home. I knew a storm awaited me when I returned. And sure enough, when I parked the BMW in the garage and entered the house, there sat Mary, glaring at the TV with an expression of cold fury. Her gaze could burn through steel, and her voice was filled with anger. "What's wrong with you, Robert?" she snapped, her words sharp and biting. "Nothing," I replied calmly. "What's wrong with you?" She blinked, clearly not expecting such a direct response. Usually I avoid conflict. I've always been easygoing, avoiding unnecessary arguments. Take the kitchen appliances, for example. Mary likes stainless steel, and while I don't care, I let her choose whatever she wanted. It doesn't matter much to me. I think over time she mistook my easygoing nature for a lack of character. Now I realize I contributed to that perception. But today was different. I wasn't going to just go with the flow anymore. For a moment, Mary looked at me, stunned by my sudden determination. "What's wrong with you?" she repeated angrily. "You show up in some gas-guzzling monster, say you're going to play golf, skip the dinner I made, and then have the nerve to ask what's wrong with me." I considered her words before responding calmly. "Yes." My voice was steady. "Yes." Her face twisted with disbelief. "What do you mean, yes?" she nearly screamed, her frustration boiling over. "I mean, yes, I have the nerve to ask that," I said, utterly unfazed. Her face flushed, patches of irritation showing on her skin. "Are you drunk, Robert? Or are you on something?" she shot back, in disbelief at what she was hearing. After a couple of beers at the country club, I stayed away from any drugs. "You want me to take something?" I asked. For a moment, surprise flashed across her face, but she quickly composed herself. Maybe you should think about taking antipsychotic medication." She stepped back, moving toward the kitchen door that led into the garage. Her gaze was fixed on the car parked inside. "Cool car?" she scoffed. "Is this a midlife crisis?" I hesitated for a moment, her question hanging in the air. Yeah, maybe it is." "Maybe? What kind of answer is that?" she pressed. Okay, fine, yes, I admitted. Something is going on, and I guess at 55 you could call it a midlife crisis. What's bothering you? She demanded. Her question caught me off guard. What are you talking about? I asked, trying to understand. Clearly frustrated, she sighed. This crisis you're going through, what's behind it? It's personal, I replied, hoping to end the conversation. She looked at me with disbelief. You're having a crisis, and you're not going to tell me? No, I said, keeping my tone even. Stop being an idiot, she snapped. What do you mean, no? You're hiding something from me. Throwing her hands up in frustration, she groaned. I'm tired of the games. What is this ridiculous car doing in our garage, and where is our old car? I traded it for the BMW, I explained, a little calmer than the situation warranted. I never liked the old car. Well, I liked our old car, she countered. Did you think about how ridiculous you'll look driving this thing to work? All the other executives are driving hybrids. They'll be jealous, I shrugged. She didn't buy it. We agreed on the old car. No, I corrected her. You agreed. I just went along with it because it made you happy. Her tone grew sharp. So you don't care about my happiness anymore? Tomorrow you're going to return the BMW and get back our old car. No, I said firmly. She blinked, stunned. What do you mean, no? It means I'm not returning it, and I'm not getting the old car back, I calmly replied. For a moment, she just stared at me, her expression shifting from shock to something more painful. A few days ago, I might have been upset, she said softly. What happened to you, Robert? I go by Rob now, I informed her. From now on, it's Rob. Her jaw dropped, and for the first time she was speechless. The silence was strangely pleasant as I headed upstairs to take a shower and get ready for bed. When I returned to the bedroom, the pillow and blanket were neatly folded at the foot of the bed. You're sleeping in the guest room tonight, she said coldly. You're acting like a child, and I won't share the bed with you. I paused for a moment, considering her words. Then, without saying anything, I pulled back the blanket and made myself comfortable. Her eyes widened in surprise. What are you doing? Going to sleep, I replied, not bothering to elaborate. I told you you're not sleeping here, she reminded me, her voice rising. Yes, I said, I heard you. But you don't get to decide where I sleep. This is my side of the bed. The bed is split evenly. I have my side and you have yours. I don't invade your space, and it would be fair if you didn't cross into mine. With a mischievous grin, she deliberately rolled over onto my side of the bed. In response, I swiftly pulled the blanket from her and, without hesitation, laid down on top of her, completely covering her. She wriggled beneath me, pushing and squirming, but it was useless. I outweighed her by nearly 100 pounds, my 200 to her 100. Her efforts were futile. Get off me, idiot! She spat out, her voice clearly irritated. She tried to hit me, but I caught her wrist before her hand could reach its target. This is my side, I said calmly. Yours is over there, and I didn't invite you to mine. I loosened my grip, allowing her to pull her hand back, and she immediately took the opportunity to return to her side of the bed. Suddenly, she began to cry. What's wrong with you, Robert? She sobbed, her voice trembling. Why are you being so cruel? There is no Robert, I replied coldly. There's Rob. I've already told you I prefer being called Rob. I thought you liked being called Robert, she mumbled, clearly confused. That's what you like to call me, I corrected her, unwavering. I never liked it. I just put up with it for your sake. But I'm done pretending. Why should I try to make you happy when you don't even respect me? Her tears continued to flow, quiet sobs escaping her lips. What happened to you? She asked in a shaky voice. Just yesterday you were the perfect husband, and now it's like I mean nothing to you. This didn't change overnight, I answered. It's been 3 days, not one. She stared at me, her eyes wide, like a baby bird waiting for its mother. I have nothing left for you, I said in an even tone. Worms? She asked, her face twisted in confusion, as if I had gone mad. What's wrong with you? Are you sick? I paused for a moment, thinking about my answer. The first part is complicated, I began. But yes, I am sick. She studied my face closely. What kind of sickness? I have a heart problem, I replied. Her face filled with concern. You mean a physical heart problem? Blocked arteries? An arrhythmia? How is that connected to your behavior? It's not that kind of heart problem, I clarified. It's more of a transformation, like a transplant. Are you going to explain what that means? She demanded, irritation creeping back into her voice. 3 days ago, I found out that you're cheating on me, I said, my tone flat and calm. The love I had for you? It's gone. What's left is a heart as empty as yours. Now I only think about myself. I care about my happiness, not yours. Her face twisted in shock. What did you just say? Maybe you should check your hearing, I replied dryly. Did I stutter? No, she muttered, her voice trembling. You were painfully clear. Her expression hardened. I don't know what's come over you, but you better figure it out. You just called your wife a cheater and a whore. I didn't accuse you of anything, I said calmly. I simply stated the facts. She blinked, unable to believe her ears. What are you even talking about? She was practically yelling at me, her voice full of irritation. There's no need to shout. I can hear you just fine, I replied calmly. I'm talking about your little meeting at the hotel with Oliver and Patricia Garcia, I said. Her face turned pale. What? How? I don't even know what you're talking about. Do you even know who the president is? What day is it today? She mumbled, grasping at any words to steer away from the topic. She fell silent, staring at me in shock. I couldn't shake the thought that she might be showing symptoms of short-term memory loss, perhaps from a stroke. I pulled out my phone and opened WhatsApp. The evidence was securely stored in our chat, and I had copies in more places than she could ever imagine. The photos were unmistakable. Mary, sandwiched between Oliver and Patricia, entering room 311 at the Patrol Hotel. She was kissing Patricia while Oliver's hand was firmly resting on her lower back. Panic crept into her voice as she asked, "Where did you get that?" "Jacob sent them to me," I said calmly. "He probably sent them to Bethany too. They're both furious. Jacob, our son, Bethany, our daughter. Remember them?" Her eyes widened as if she finally grasped the seriousness of the situation. "Jacob?" she whispered, almost talking to herself. "He saw you. These pictures aren't some random stranger's snapshots," I continued, showing her the photo Jacob had taken. "He was dropping off a client at the hotel when he spotted you. He wanted to surprise you, to visit, but instead he caught you on your little date. Fitting word, don't you think?" "It wasn't—" "Oh, God," she started, but I quickly interrupted. "It's not about excuses right now. The real question is, what are you going to do?" "Robert won't do anything," I said with cold certainty. "Rob's already on the case. He's arranged a few accidents for the three of you." She looked at me, her eyes a mix of disbelief and horror. She couldn't tell if I was joking or serious, and that uncertainty paralyzed her. "What are you going to do?" she asked, her voice trembling, clinging to hope. "Not much," I replied, barely hiding my indifference. "I called in a couple of old friends. Oliver and Patricia won't make it through tomorrow. And you? I'll wait a bit, until next Wednesday. I knew Oliver and Patricia were supposed to go to work tomorrow, and I suspected that their car's airbags would accidentally fail to deploy when they needed them the most. The crash would be fatal, just as Anthony had said. Everyone knows old cars don't fare well in serious collisions. That's why I sold mine." She stared at me, her jaw dropping, her face a grotesque mix of fear and disbelief. Slowly, her shock gave way to cold calculation. Strangely, her concern didn't seem to extend to Oliver or Patricia, only to herself. As usual, her thoughts were driven by self-interest. "And what about us?" she barely managed to say. "We're finished," I said in an icy tone. "I'm filing for divorce. You're going to work tomorrow, right? I wonder how your company will react when they find out that 3 of its employees were caught in a scandalous affair. I'm sure there'll be some awkward meetings at the office." I couldn't help but let out a dark chuckle. "I'm also curious how Kyle Smith, your boss, who thinks of himself as a saint, will take this news." She let out a strange, piercing sound, somewhere between a scream and a sob, like an animal cornered. I calmly turned off the bedside lamp. "Good night, Mary," I said, my voice cold and final. Part of me wondered if I would get the whole bed to myself after the divorce. She lunged at me, throwing herself onto my side of the bed, clinging to me desperately like a drowning person grasping at a straw. "I don't want a divorce, Robert," she sobbed, her tears soaking the back of my shirt. I remained silent. "Robert!" Her hand grabbed mine, pulling me closer with a sense of urgency. "Robert, I don't want us to end like this." The room echoed with her words, but I said nothing. Her eyes darted past me as if searching for something. "Robert," she repeated, now with a hint of anxiety in her voice. I met her gaze. "There is no Robert here," I replied coldly, "and you're on my side of the bed." A flicker of irritation crossed her face. "Damn it, Rob. Rob, I don't want a divorce," she insisted again. I turned to her, my voice growing even colder. "And I didn't sign up for a wife who cheats, but here we are." Funny how things turn out, I thought. It seemed she didn't appreciate the irony. "Rob, I'm sorry," she whispered. "It was just something I wanted to try. I was curious what it would be like to be with another woman." "Well, I was curious too," I responded. "Interesting." I couldn't believe the absurdity of the situation. I had always thought Oliver was a man. She shot me an annoyed look. "Don't be ridiculous. This isn't about Oliver. I didn't sleep with him. It was just me and Patricia." "Oliver just watched?" I snapped. "No," she sighed. "He was with Patricia, and I was with her too." She seemed relieved to finally admit it. I stared at her in disbelief. "Do you even realize how this all sounds?" After a long, awkward silence, she spoke again. "I was going to suggest the same thing to you." "The same thing?" I asked, stunned. "What does that even mean?" "A threesome," she explained, her voice softening. "Me, you, and Patricia. You've always said you were curious about being with another woman." "Yeah, I did say that, but Patricia wasn't exactly what I had in mind," I muttered. "I was thinking of someone who hadn't been with half the town." Her face flushed with anger. "Who are you talking about?" she demanded, her patience snapping. I didn't hesitate. "Mia's always been on my mind." "Mia? My sister?" she screamed. "You're talking about my sister?" "You asked," I reminded her with a shrug. "Mia is beautiful. She's always been that way." Mia was like Mary, but better. Her golden blonde hair framed a face with warm brown eyes, and freckles dotted a nose too cute to describe. Her figure was stunning, the kind that made men stop in their tracks. Her curves were flawless, and her body exuded a sensuality that captivated everyone. 5 years younger than us, Mia had married an NBA rising star at 30, but when his career crashed and he drowned himself in alcohol, she left him. I remember when Mary and I were dating. Mia was just a high school girl with a crush on me. I adored her back then, but I never crossed the line. Sure, there was temptation, but nothing ever happened. I wondered if Mary would even entertain the thought. Or more importantly, Mia? It was a wild idea, but given the situation, anything seemed possible. Mary was leaving me anyway. Maybe this was my way of pushing her even further away. Her mind seemed to be processing everything. "I'm not going to have a threesome with my sister," she finally said, her voice trembling with disbelief. I shrugged again and rolled over, ready for sleep. The divorce moved surprisingly smoothly. Mary resisted, but divorces rarely drag on these days. Everyone knows how it goes. You can't avoid the mess. But for me, life went on. How do you let go of someone you once loved? You throw them away like garbage, even after 35 years of marriage. Sometimes they resist, but the outcome doesn't change. I never followed through with my wild idea about Mia, but I found peace. Now the touch of the woman next to me, her body curled up against mine, is enough to drown out any lingering thoughts of threesomes. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.